it over from here. Welcome, man.
Thank you, Bob. And good afternoon and welcome back from lunch. This session, we are not going to just sit down and listen. We are going to make it interactive so that we will not start praying, because when you come back from lunch, after a time, you'll just be saying, oh God. So it's going to be interactive, and I know the panelists, that there are people that will keep us awake. And we have Shem is already sitting down there. Shem is a member of the cross-community working group of ICANN, developing IANA transition proposal for the names community. That's the names where some of us belong to. And next is Fiona. Fiona is, Shem is representing Africa through the ELAC group, and he's in the CCWG. While Fiona is also representing Africa in the CCWG accountability. What has happened is that the US government has asked ICANN to convene in an international multi-stakeholder process that will develop a proposal that will give to the US government to enable the US government to hand over the management of one aspect of the internet resources, which is the IANA function. The IANA function, when Pierre comes up, is going to do an overview of what is all about. He will do the introduction, and after that, I'll take it up from there. So there are two parallel processes that are going on. One is the ICG. ICG is IANA Stewardship Transition Group. I belong to that group. I represent Africa through the AFTLD and CCNS, So I represent Africa. I'm in that group. Fiona represents Africa in the accountability group. And our brother that has spoken to us before, Tijani, that has spoken to us about economy, is also in the accountability group. So myself and Shem is a member of the names proposal development group called CCWG IANA. I participate, I participate, but he is a member, so he will tell us more about it. So without wasting much time, Pierre is going to tell us what it's all about. Just 5 minutes, Pierre, you have to introduce the IANA stewardship transition, what is all about, and then we'll take it up from there. And we'll start with that. Pierre, thank you. We'll continue. Others will join us. I know people will come because it's an interesting topic.
Thank you, Mary, and thank to you all. Yes, I think others will join, and then don't worry. I was also supposed to be in another session there at 2 o'clock, and they have to cancel it because not many people turn up. Actually, it was about governments. Yes. Working groups, so probably governments, take their time. And but thanks so much for being there. Mine is going to be quite quick because, as Mari said, it has to be interactive. And the guys you see there, sitting, they know it all, at least in their own, portion of the whole debate taking place. What we are expecting from them is to update us on what is going on, what are the issues, and also respond to one question that I had from one of the African diplomat accredited in New York. We were discussing about this thing. He told me, but Pierre, why do you think that Africa should care about this thing?
That's it.
he was saying, okay, IANA transition, whatever you transition this thing, what is in it for Africa? Because he was doubting that we could, that Africa should even be concerned by this thing. So I had to find ways in which I really explained to him why it matters for Africa. And this is what you guys have to also to do. As far as the Africa strategy is concerned, we then for that you might find ways in which you really raise awareness, you know, because it's also important that people understand what you guys are talking about. So we've launched our month, supposed to be April and April to May actually, where we are trying to have national consultations on the IANA stewardship, you know, transition, and then we are having very great, you know, debates on country level. But the idea for us not only is to provide awareness, but it's also about contributing to the what they are calling the different, you know, working document, I would say, because the final result is going to be the proposal to be tabled to the NTIA. But what is it all about? It's about the U.S. government that 14th of March, you know, decided to actually hand over the stewardship, you know, of the IANA functions to multi-stakeholder sort of group platform. And what ICANN did so far is kind of support the whole thing, launch different, you know, working groups that are actually in charge of producing that proposal. We are at a stage now that, okay, some of the proposals are fine, I would say. Some are still need to be refined. There are still questions here and there. And not only are we talking about the IANA stewardship transition, we are also talking about ICANN's accountability, because the issue is, if the US government, you know, has to actually retract itself from this thing, what happened of ICANN, and what type of ICANN are we then looking for? ICANN should be contribute to some sort of form of organization there. So what type of, you know, accountability are we looking for? So these are very tricky, you know, and complex discussions. So that's where we are. We do have deadlines, certainly. I think they will talk about those deadlines. And if I'm not mistaken, by I think by July, normally we should already have some of those documents. And then the ICANN has no, how should I say, we just send this to the board, and of course the board will just send it to the NTIA, full stop. So ICANN is not going to actually review this proposal per se. With that, I think I will just hand it back to you so that, yeah, you. Sorry, no, it's okay. It's a mic.
It's a mic.
Yeah. So we are really looking forward to very kind of lively discussions. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a roving mic? Okay. All right. I just want to have a sense in the room. How many of us in the room know about the IANA transition, please? IANA transition, do you know it? Do you know what it's all about? Do you know what it means? 1, 2, 3, apart from those of us this way. Okay, so I think it's for anybody that is coming up here to at least give a little bit of what it's all about, so that we can appreciate what we are talking about. And if you know the history of internet, you know, the internet started where? From Tunisia, right? Was it from Tunisia? I think Tijani told us about it already, that it was a research, ARPANET, right? And then it was US government that funded how internet started, and it's a collaborative thing. And the internet started growing where machine can talk to machine without the intervention of any human being. You know, when telephone started, they will, when you call, they will move one plug from the other one and switch it there so that you can talk to the other one. And research students, PhD students in US started looking, even in all over the world, started looking at how do we improve this communication without human intervention. So this was machine to machine. At a point, the protocol, the servers, the processes became in such a way that you have to write, well, this is my own machine, this is the number of my machine, and that's Fiona's machine, this is the number of her machine, and somebody had to take addresses, write them out, and that's how the IANA function started. And it was one person that was taking care of it at a time. And you know about John Postel? Have you heard about John Postel? Yes, he was the first IANA function operator. And he changed, I think he changed jobs, or he moved to a higher point, and he had to go with that. So he was the one doing diary of what your server number, when a theory is developed, how do I write it? Then the numbering started. AFRINIC is the numbering side. .tn is the name side. And how will I describe protocol so that they will know it here? Protocol is, I don't know whether you know about IETF. There is ISOC that is in charge of IETF, and this is a standard making organization on how the internet works. So each time they develop a new theory, a new process, a new standard is recorded. So there were the three major functions that IANA takes. The name function, the naming function of giving domain name, instead of writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you will not remember, it said www.tn, which makes it easier to remember easily. www.afrinic.net is easier to remember than remembering numbers. So it turned that way. So that's the naming side, which the registries are responsible for. The number side is that the IP addresses. IP address has a long number. Tijani told us about the IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 is almost exhausted. IPv6 is longer, and so there are the regional organizations that issue out these IPv Internet Protocol numbers. So that's the numbering organization. There is the IETF that is doing standard. All these things that are done by different communities, they come together to become IANA function, which IANA records or manages. So, but before these ones are given, the US government, through the Department of Commerce and National Telecommunication, NTIA, National Telecommunication Administration, they will look at whether that thing is really done well. And before, for ICANN was now contracted to be doing that work that Postel was doing before. So you remember the Sweden discovery, the surveillance thing, the hue and cries of the other countries of the world saying, must it be US government that should be taking care of this? Why are we not part of it? So the US government, in order to listen to what the whole world is clamoring for, decided, look, ICANN had already been given the contract to manage this. So the little bit we do, that's the last bit of it, to say ICANN has followed the processes developed. It has followed the due process, and it can give out either numbering or gives out the domain name and the DNSSEC. Okay, we want to remove our hand. Let it be you that has started it, continue with it. That's how the internet, IANA function transition started. What is transiting is the role of the government of US. It's not the function that is transiting so that we can get it right. It's the role of the government in the process of delegation and redelegation, issuing of numbers, writing registry for protocol. So this is, in a nutshell, just a little bit of what we are going to talk about. But if by the time they come, you can ask questions. The most important thing I want us to end up with, deliverable for this, is that by the end of it, we'll know whether we support what the community is saying or not. How many of us have been to ICANN meeting before? ICANN meeting. They showed us ICANN communities not quite long ago, that the communities are so many of them. You have the academia, the technical community, the civil society, the users, the names community, the numbers community, the stability community, the task force for developing standards. So they are all part of ICANN. So ICANN has been asked to develop a proposal, one proposal, that the US government will look at and say, yes, ICANN, you can continue. You don't need us at all. So this proposal development has taken some time. So ICANN decided, okay, let's talk to the community. Well, how do you want us to do it? And after talking to the community came up with the fact that, well, you have to form groups to be able to develop this process, because it's a multi-stakeholder. Multi-stakeholder means that we cannot say it. It's what you say that will take. So say it and we take it to US government. So that's how the multi-stakeholder process started. And it made two parallel groups. One is called the IANA Stewardship Coordination Group, ICG. That group is the group that would wait until each of the communities will bring their proposal together, will bind it together and give to the IANA, to the ICANN board that will transfer it to, will now submit it to the NTIA, which is US government. So those are the things that these men and women have been working on. So let me round off there, because it's really very long thing. But by the time they start talking, you hear more about it. So we'll start from Fiona to give us her presentation on the accountability group, CCWG accountability. Sorry.
Swati.
Eh?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to try and be as concise and clear as possible, being that we don't have much time. And before I start, I'll beg to be excused as soon as I finish, because I need to also be in a different session. I hope that in future the organizers of the meeting can run a program that doesn't have too many breakaways, because some of us get conflicted through. So, but I'm here with you. So I hope we can go through this, and I'll be assisted by Tijani, with whom we are involved in the ICANN Accountability Cross-Community Working Group together. And so I'm sure if I walk out, Tijani, who has been as active as I've been on in the working process, will be able to respond or get your input where we do not really have answers for everything right now. We're in the process of drafting, so we can, the best thing we can do is get your feedback. That will go a long way in helping us prepare our final proposal, but I'll get us started. Okay. The CCWG on accountability was established in December of 2014 with the proposal being to deliver, with the goal being to deliver proposals that would enhance ICANN's accountability. There is the stewardship, CCWG, which goes by the CWG on stewardship name, and we are not that. We are feeding into the whole process. Accountability within ICANN during the transition, prior to the transition, during the transition, and after. We divided the work into two work streams, where work stream 1 was looking at accountability issues that can be handled before the transition process, that have to be in place before the transition process, or that were identified as relevant in facilitating the transition from the US government to whichever arrangement we finally end up with. Then work stream 2 was looking at broader accountability issues, which are really the issues that go beyond the transition. And the way the membership for this was selected was through 2 to 5 representatives from the different supporting organizations and advisory councils of ICANN. And then in addition, we got individuals who felt that they wanted to participate, whether they were nominated by their respective groups or not. And we came to a total of 155 participants of that particular working group. In Africa, okay, the representatives that I've divided them into two because I went in first as an ASO representative, which is the Address Supporting Organization representative. The Address Supporting Organization is where the regional internet registries, the AFRINIC, the LATNIC, the RIPE-NCC, the ARIN, EPNIC all fall under. So we have what we call the Address Supporting Organization of ICANN. And at that level, we did nominate 4 individuals, all from different regions, and the only region not represented there is ARIN, that's the American region. Then we've got representatives from Africa, and from Africa there is Tijani, there is Alice Munya from the African Union, Eberhard Lise from the CCTLD community, and myself. We work very closely as a team to make sure that we are able to agree on way forward. Agreeing as 145 people is not easy. How do we work? We work a lot on conference calls every week, though when we get to critical periods of working on our proposals, we do conference calls every day. And we do face-to-face meetings as well. We've had so far face-to-face meetings in Frankfurt, Singapore, Istanbul. We've got some planned in Buenos Aires towards the later in the month. And we've got another face-to-face meeting already being planned for July because we need to be finalizing on our proposal like Pierre had mentioned. We've got 4 work parties. And these work parties were based on areas that we identified were important to the accountability process of ICANN moving forward. One was community empowerment. It is important for the ICANN community to be empowered enough to make decisions that facilitate and maintain the bottom-up process of ICANN, so community empowerment was considered important. 2, review and redress. With all the different processes handled at ICANN, it is very important for there to be a clear review and redress mechanism to ensure that when you're being served by ICANN and you're not comfortable with a decision or a direction that is being made, there is an opportunity for you to be able to give your input and for you to be heard and for that input to be considered, and you clearly explain to what can work, what cannot work, and why it cannot work, especially with the name on the name side with the new GTLDs and all. You've had a discussion earlier before lunch on the new GTLDs and what's happening in that space, and it's so important for there then to be a very clear review and redress mechanism. 3 is a stress test. For our proposal on accountability to be viable, we are running stress tests. We have been running and are continuing to run stress tests on every part of the proposal. So on every mechanism that we put in place or that we propose, we are running stress tests to know whether or not it is viable. Basically, that means we pick on it and really look at different scenarios under which it would play, with all the 150 people giving their different views of how those different scenarios would play, so that we are able to really ascertain that we have covered all the ground appropriately, that the mechanism is well structured.